This is the plaintiff, Ebony Cologne. She says the defendant, her landlord, refuses to return her security deposit, even though she was a model tenant of hers for the last 5 years. Obviously, there was some normal wear and tear on the place, but the defendant's refusing to return her security, and that's not right. She's suing for $800, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Monica Saavedra. She says the damages were certainly not from normal wear and tear, and she as a landlord has every right in the world to keep the plaintiff's security to repair all the damages she left behind. She's quite confident the law is on her side, and when she presents all the evidence to the judge will side with her for sure. She's accused of keeping it all.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says she was a model tenant for 5 years and her landlord refuses to return her security. But the defendant says the plaintiff caused big time damage. It's the case of you wear and tear me out.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Ebony Cologne?
Yes.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Cologne.
Cologne, you are suing, what's your name?
Monica Saavedra.
Monica Saavedra for $800, a security deposit that you gave your former landlord that she is, according to you, wrongfully not returning to you. Tell me what happened.
I lived in that apartment about 4 years. I moved in December 2008. I moved out in March of 2013. During my time there, I mainly seen Monica when she picked up the rent. She did fix some stuff, but not too much. When I called her to receive my, asked her about the security, she told me that there was a lot of damages done to the apartment, which she claims that I poured water into the radiator. I damaged the floor. That I did, there was a hole that her brother placed in the downstairs.
That what?
Her brother placed in the downstairs hallway, bringing the stove into the house.
And she was pinning it on you, but you're saying her brother did it?
Yes, and he fixed it, but he didn't fix it correctly.
Okay.
So I did damage 2 doors in the apartment.
How did you damage them?
Just, I don't know. I lived there.
Are there holes in them?
There were holes there.
But how did you get holes in the doors?
Probably moving furniture in.
Okay.
My daughter was born in that apartment. She's 4. But I replaced those doors.
Okay. How did you replace those doors?
I went to Home Depot and bought new doors.
That were not pre-drilled, and you did not mount them. You just brought them in and laid them down for her to mount.
Yes.
And hire somebody to, okay.
I also puttied the holes, the holes that I did put in there, which was mainly nails for pictures, but there was a hole that I did place in that wall that I puttied, and I left a half a gallon
I gotta see your
paint.
putty job. All right, let me see pictures. All right, and then as it turns out, and let me see your pictures too. So as it turns out, when you were leaving, did you have any inkling she was going to keep your security deposit, or you guys had a great relationship?
We had a great relationship.
In fact, according to you, she spoke with your new landlord.
My new landlord, and gave me a great reference, and I mean, we had a great relationship. I don't understand where
So when did you first find out that she wasn't going to return your security deposit?
When she wasn't returning my phone calls.
Oh, and that was when?
That was a couple of days after she received the keys, and I left messages. And
what day did you move out?
I moved out March 1st. She received the keys March 3rd. Upon her request, I gave the neighbor.
How did she receive the keys March 3rd? From the neighbor?
Upon her request, she asked me to give the neighbor the key. I was supposed to give it to her brother. He never showed. I moved to another town, and I had to go. He never showed. So I called her and let her know the neighbor got the key to the apartment, and I also took pictures of the apartment.
What is this picture of?
The kitchen floor that I also called her about that needed to be fixed, and she never fixed it.
The kitchen floor that you called her about when?
When I lived in an apartment.
When you lived there or when you were moving?
No, when I lived.
You were about to say when you were moving.
No, when I lived in that apartment.
Do you have any record of having notified her of this rip in the kitchen floor before you moved out? Because you know what she's going to say, right? Like,
yes.
Why did you destroy my floor? And you need to pay for it now, and that's why I'm keeping your security deposit. This is what, the radiator?
That's the radiator in the bathroom. Just showing pictures of the rust and stuff that was in that apartment.
This is water damage down here.
That was the radiators. I kept those covers because I also called her about the dust and the rust coming from them. When I lived in that apartment, she never fixed that either.
Do you have that in writing anywhere? Can I just suggest to you that when you have a complaint about something with your landlord, that you send an email or a text or something that you can keep a writing of?
There's things that
And take
Monica
pictures
did
of it
fix.
then and send them in the email so that you can prove that that's something that you've been complaining of, and that way you could show it to a court of law one day. Ugh, what is all that?
That's the radiators.
What's that?
That's her
The wall? Like,
Yeah. I pulled my bed out, and that's what was behind it.
okay. What's going on?
Okay, she moved out the 28th. She was supposed to be out by the 28th because she paid rent up to the 28th of February, not up to March 3rd. I had told her, actually, call me when you have the key. If I can, I will come and get it. She was supposed to actually give it to my brother a couple of days earlier. She was supposed to give it to him on the 28th or the 1st. And since she hadn't, I called her and she said, I'm still moving out. When I have the keys, I will call you. Because I said, call me. If not, if I can't make it, you could leave it with the neighbor.
When did she move out?
She was there at least until the 2nd, if not the 3rd. I got the keys back on the 3rd.
And you think that she was there until the 2nd, but you weren't
least.
present when she was moving. Who's the gentleman with you?
This is my brother.
This is a brother who was moving the stove?
Yes.
Good for you, man.
Thank you.
So if you hammer nails in the wall to put pictures up in an apartment, can the landlord deduct that from your security when you move out, or is that just part of the deal?
I think the landlord has the right to deduct that from your pay.
Security?
Yeah, from your security, depending on the severity of the hole. You know,
So is small holes okay?
small holes would be fine. Small holes are all right. Big holes, I don't know about big
Yeah,
holes.
I don't know about small holes.
I think that they should charge you no matter what because you're like damaging their property. So
Yeah, but the other side of it is, hey, you know what? You put pictures up. Everybody knows that.
I think they should charge because it's not yours. You're just renting. So, but it depends on the contract. So
There you go. Ding, 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 ding. Going inside the courtroom.
May I clarify something about the hole
Sure.
in the wall? The hole was there already. And you can see that the sloppy, you couldn't leave walls like that with those patches. You know, it looks horrible.
Is that this stuff?
That's one of them. That's when
one
you
of them.
come up the
Right.
stairs.
That's at the end of the
immediately
staircase.
to the right. That she considers a fixed wall.
That's it?
Yes.
Oh my God,
that's
these
it.
are awful. I mean, it's supposed to look right. It's supposed to look smooth. That's not how it's
Okay.
done. So she's got to pay somebody to redo those, that's for sure. Why didn't you get out on the 1st?
March 1st, I was out of the apartment March 1st. I was sitting around waiting for her brother. I moved to another town. He never showed. I actually had to call those people again.
But you know, March 1st is one day into March.
that was our agreement. March 1st.
That was your agreement?
March 1st. I was supposed to move February.
Somebody else has to be in there March 1st if she's going to rent it March 1st. Did you have another renter? Not yet, anyway.
No, I couldn't have
But
rented
somebody's
like
supposed
that.
to be in there on March 1st. That person, people don't move in March 2nd.
March 1st was my move date. And
Why
that
would
was-
March 1st be your move date? It would be the last day of the month, which is February
Yeah,
28th.
where I was moving, I was already packed out. I was moving into another apartment. March 1st was our
But you
agreement.
understand what I'm saying, or you seem to not understand what I'm saying, but by the vehemence with which you're answering me. When you are going to move out, you're supposed to move out at the end of the month. You understand that when you move one day into March, you are now occupying the place in March. And what the law says is that you owe March now because you're there in March. You don't move out on the 28th. You don't move out at the end of the month. You can't move out March 1st, 2nd, or 3rd because it's a weekend and it's convenient for you. You have to move out at the end of the month. You have to clear out at the end of the month. Do you
I was
understand
in
that?
my new apartment March 1st. I was outside of the apartment. I understand what you're saying. I was
You do,
not,
right?
I was not in that apartment. We agreed March 1st.
I'm sorry. This is your testimony. Your first testimony when you filed the complaint was I was out March 3rd.
March
you must
3rd.
have thought about it. Now you said March 1st and changed it today to March 1st. Now it's March 1st. That's fine. March 1st is in March. And the law says that if you're there at all in the next month, you have to pay the next month. It's not in increments. It's not per day. You have to pay the next month because that's what a month to month means. Okay, that you have to pay the next month if you're there. Why? Because if you're still there on the 1st, she can't rent it out. It makes no difference that she hadn't rented it out. She can't rent it out. You're still there in March. So you have now taken over the place for the month of March. When you do that, you needed to have been out of there on February 28th. That's when you needed to have been out of there to be able to claim it. So forget about the hundreds of dollars that the new patch job and everything else and the doors and everything else are going to cost. I mean, she's just trying to keep the 800 and she would have a right to do it just on when you moved out. And by the way, I think when you moved out was March 3rd, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to assume it's March 1st. It still entitles them to rent for the month of March. My verdict in this case is
Even
for
though
the
she
defendant.
already knew about it?
Yeah. Even though you move out in March, you must pay March. It's
No,
simple.
I'm saying even though the landlord knew about
exactly
it.
like The law says for you, just for everybody else. You are not privileged. It's exactly the way the law says for you. There's no exception for you.
She rented it out the same month.
April.
And she knew you was leaving.
Did you rent it out in March?
Yes.
No,
I
I did not.
Easter.
I rented it out in April. I gave the keys a couple days early. I like to do that for my
These
tenants.
people were moved
I gave the
in.
keys a couple days early so
You
they
have
could
to
move
pay
in.
March. All right.
Are you serious?
Well, the plaintiff has forfeited that security deposit, and if you, as you're saying, that she rented it out in March, is what you're saying.
Our verbal
Well, if-
agreement, hold on. Our verbal
You should have been able to prove that in the
March 1st.
courtroom.
It was.
You should have been able to prove that in the courtroom that she had rented it out in March somehow, if you wanted to use that as evidence. But you do know what the judge said, that the law says if you live there one day in March, then you have to pay March.
Well, then she should have said that before she agreed to allow her to move out in March 1st, because the original date was February
March
15th,
1st.
and
I
she
was in
would
my
not
next
let her
apartment.
go. We moved the same exact day to the same exact complex, which they had to talk to the
On
same
March
exact
1st.
people, everything, and they knew that we could not sign our leases until March 1st,
All right.
It's okay.
which she agreed to it.
Okay.
All right, all right.
Like, are you serious?
Right that way, okay? All right, step on in here. They're claiming that you rented this place out in March.
That's not true. I
could
gave
you?
the keys.
don't
Yeah,
know.
with all that damage, if you saw the pictures, you'd see that there was no
You
way.
couldn't rent it.
I have receipts showing up to the 25th. Actually, the guy finished doing the floors on the 25th, and I have a receipt showing. So how could somebody move in with wet floors?
No, well, the law is clear about
Yes.
March 1st and say March. Harvey?
You know, if the landlord did actually rent the apartment out in March, the plaintiff wouldn't have to pay anything. But the reality here is that the landlord has a legal duty, as they call it, to mitigate damages, which means to minimize it. This landlord tried, couldn't rent it till April, and that's why the plaintiff lost. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.